computer distant, computer better, everybody let me does get flatter, computer distant, computer better,
Hello, beautiful humans of the internets. Welcome again to Dead Program, live coming to you from the streaming universe of Asturias. Hello, humans. Hello, fellow cyborgs. Hello, robots. And eventually, when this signal reaches you, hello, extraterrestrials. We are coming for you. Be warned, we're coming for you, E.T., just to say hi. So I'm here with my favorite robotic comrade, Gopherbot, and I'm going to take off my mask for at least the moment. Gopherbot is going to keep its on because even though Gopherbot's been vaccinated, apparently it still could be contagious. I don't know. I don't know those things about whether there's a zootropic thing that can affect robotic gophers that will also affect humans, but I trust the science. So we have lots of cool stuff happening this week. We've been really, really busy out in the universe. But speaking of which, that outer space has been so interesting this week. Let's take a look at some of the cool stuff that's been happening. Well, first of all, yes, earlier today, in fact, Endeavour launches once again another spacecraft full of live humans. Yes, heading off to the International Space Station, of which there is only one, and it belongs to all of us citizens of planet Earth. So, yeah, this is pretty exciting. It's another tremendous success for SpaceX, where they have been using their Falcon boosters to put all sorts of amazing things and people into orbit. So they're on their way to the International Space Station. I believe they will be docking tomorrow. So yeah, that's totally awesome. Very, very exciting. In news even further away from our lovely planet, yes, it's amazing, but drones on Mars. It is real. So this is a flight, not from this week's flight, but from the first flight. And we can see here the drone getting its props started. And then it takes off, flying just about, I think, a meter and a half above the surface of the red planet, doing a little pirouette, a little turn upon the catwalk, and then landing. Yes, here's the landing. Oh, sticks the landing. Oh, that's so awesome. So yeah, actually, this was the first flight. There was a second flight that took place, I think about 24 hours ago. Let's see if we can find. I don't think the footage is yet available for that. Um, there is a quick preview, a takeoff and two turns. So this is a close-up of the first flight, not the second flight. The second flight, we haven't gotten the high resolution yet. But check this out. Takeoff, and then look at this landing. This is completely computer controlled. No humans were involved in either the takeoff or the landing. Well, I mean, the programming, yes. But the actual flight, no. Oh, it's just so cool. So, yeah, I love automated flying on other planets. I mean, what's not to love? It's just amazing. So, in slightly not so good news of the week, this is one of my favorite security blogs from Bruce Schneier. Very cool guy, very intelligent, wrote Applied Cryptography, one of the consummate tomes on the subject, and also has a really great book on human information operations called Secrets and Lies, very much worth reading. Um, so this is talking about a back door that was discovered in CodeCov. So CodeCov is a service that is used by many, many, many open source projects as well as commercial projects for providing a visualization of the code coverage in the automated tests and then showing that over time. So this was a very, very sophisticated supply chain attack, not unlike the SolarWinds attack, in that its purpose was to penetrate the security around the creators of other software. So this kind of supply chain attack is very, very dangerous. And if you are using CodeCov, you should immediately go and revoke all of your keys and secrets that are associated with that account and generate new ones. So actually, GoCV has been using CodeCov for a while, up until just recently, where we have now removed it in favor of having slightly, less flashy, but ultimately more secure code coverage reports. But no badge currently. Anyway, so yeah, bummer for them and bummer for all the rest of us. Nobody should laugh at anyone else's security problems because you will probably be next. They're coming for all of us. I mean, en masse, not specifically just us. I mean, anybody. Anyhow, be careful. Be careful out there. All right. So this week, I wanted to go and I wanted to finish the task that we were starting last week, which was adding some new software capabilities to GoCV. Specifically, we want to add the feature that is the, I thought I made that a pull request, but it doesn't look like I actually did. The idea was we wanted to add the feature to GoCV that added a new CUDA function. And we added that last week in a branch called, I think, CUDA Flip. Yes, CUDA Flip. So CUDA Flip has a branch that's already been worked on. And so first, before I do any tests on this, let's go back to the dev branch. Let's git pull rebase origin dev, which is going to bring in the latest version of GoCV. Origin dev, there we go. And then let's go back to this CUDA flip and then rebase it, meaning git rebase dev, so rebase the dev branch into the CUDA flip branch, and that way we've got all the latest code that's in there, so we can go and take a look. And we see, yes, here is the initial implementation for this CUDA flip function. So it doesn't look like git push origin CUDA flip. We might need to force push because I rebased against the dev branch. And so now we have created the branch with the tests, and we can take a look at what we did last time. We added a new flip function to the CUDA commands that are supported, and I believe this was in the arithmetic for arithmetic. So flips a 2D matrix around a vertical, horizontal, or both axes. And this is one of the features that is part of on the roadmap here. We could take a look at that. The roadmap that shows us all the different things that are not yet done. So if we go and we take a look at the CUDA capabilities here, and we can see that the flip function here is listed under core, still needing implementation. And in this pull request, I believe I have, in fact, updated the roadmap so that let's look for flip. So haven't marked it as done yet. So that needs to be done because, in fact, the flip function has now been implemented as a part of this pull request, right? So the only thing that we haven't done is actually run the tests, right? If you recall, last week we added some tests, or added a test for this flip function, but we need to execute it against an actual GPU. So let's take a look at the test, though, very briefly. So it reads in a file from disk, a color file, and we will close that when we're done with it. Then it allocates 2 new mats on the GPU's memory. So the mat or matrix is kind of the atomic unit that OpenCV uses to represent images or vectors or any of the other information sets. So we open 2 new mats, which we will close again when we're done with them, defer close. We'll upload this image from the CPU's memory into the GPU's memory so that we can operate on them. And then we call the flip function, which actually performs the operation. We download that into the destination mat, which is in the CPU, and that way now we can compare it to make sure that it should not be empty, right? We know it should not be empty because there was data in the original image, and so by flipping it, we should still have image in the resulting destination, and if not, then we fail the test. Now, the only way for us to actually test this is to run it on a machine that actually has a GPU. So luckily, I have a machine available to me that has that exact capability. And luckily for me, this machine is not actually my machine. Pretty powerful, and it is running the NVIDIA driver version 460 and the CUDA version 11.2, so a very recent version of both of these things. And I have here my repository, and so if I get fetch, I will see where the branch is. It's called CUDA Flip. That's right. So if I get checkout, CUDA Flip, and I already have some commits in this, so I'm going to get pull, rebase, origin, CUDA Flip. That way I'm pulling in the latest code. And let's just take a look to see. Yes, there's my implementation for the flip function. And also there is my test that we were just looking at. Cool. So now, how do we actually execute this, right? Well, luckily, that is what the Docker image that, let's take a look at that real quick. Go back over to my Linux notebook briefly. So if we take a look at the Docker images that were created, We have, if you remember from when we did the Go CV release, we have a image that is built using the NVIDIA CUDA 11.2.2 base image, and it adds to that OpenCV version 4.5.2, and then adds to that Go 1.16.2. So it prepares everything that we need in order to be able to successfully build Go software that uses OpenCV with CUDA support. And then here's our test. Our test function uses that base image, and then it executes against it our test, and it's using a really cool package from Yana Borju-Dorgan, or Rackle, as she is known on the internets. Brilliant software developer, engineer, and cool human being. So she's the creator of this package called GoTest. It is functionally equivalent in all ways to the Go space test command, except with pretty colors. So I like that. So let's go back over to the Mac here. So if we can use the more command to look at our Docker file that's got our tests for the GPU with CUDA 11. And so all we have to do is we build this, and it will build, it'll pull in the latest GoTest, and now we're ready to go. But before that, let's just run in a Docker container. How exactly can you get from a Docker container to the GPU? I mean, isn't Docker running inside some kind of sandbox? Well, it is. However, you can access the host capabilities of the GPU by using an NVIDIA plugin for Docker, whose purpose is to make Docker containers able to access that GPU. And so if we look at, let's see, Docker run, we have a command here. It uses a pre-built image in Docker that is from the Ubuntu image from NVIDIA, and it's going to run that same NVIDIA SMI command. The difference here is it's going to do so adding this command flag, which is --GPUs all. And that's going to give access to the running Docker program to let it have available access to the GPUs running, but a program that's actually in the sandbox. So if we run it, and you'll see it gives us the same results as what we saw before when we ran the NVIDIA SMI command just directly natively on the Linux machine, which, by the way, it is Linux that we're running. I'm connected on a Mac, but I am running Linux on a kernel 5.4 using Ubuntu. All right. So here we are. We're using this container with this Docker host extensions for NVIDIA, and we're able to run the SMI command, and we can see the GPU. All right, cool. So now all we have to do is run our tests by running this command, which Docker run. It runs the container we just built with our tests, and it gives access to them using the GPU. So let's see what happens. So it has to download the verify package. That's part of the Go package. And so then it has to compile and link and then execute the cgo in order to run the tests. So that's what takes a bit of time. And it doesn't, unfortunately, have any easy way of giving you feedback that we got to the part of the code compilation that has to do with the Sego, but that's what it's doing right now. And then once it's done, it should execute all those tests and give us a nice colorful output. Either, okay, so now it's done. You can see Go Test package creates by default, the colors will be red if it fails and green if it passes. And you can see our new test flip is in fact passing. So excellent. This is now going to fulfill its purpose, which was, we can exit out of here. So now this is going to be able to fulfill its purpose, which is that we want to be able to show people, here's exactly the way to create a pull request. Did I change anything in here? Go back here, get status. Oh yeah, the roadmap. So I added that I checked off that the flip function was done. So I probably should have added that before, but unfortunately I didn't. So what we should do is, I don't want to have an extra commit, so let's use git rebase -I so we can put this in together into a single commit. So I'm going to git add roadmap, and then I'm going to git commit -m. I'm going to add just the same comment. Not very creative, but that's okay, because I'm going to squash these two commits together so that they're really just one commit that also updates the roadmap. So git rebase -I for interactive head ~2, which is saying use the git interactive rebase and start with the current commit and the commit right before that. In other words, the last two commits. And so we see that brings up my default text editor, and it shows us the two commits in question. So first I'm going to pick, which is just using the commit. Now remember, this is showing us in reverse order. In other words, showing us the oldest to newest. Normally when we use git log, it shows us from the most recent backwards in time, but this shows us in actual chronological order. That way we can decide what we want to do. In this case, I'm going to pick the first commit, and then the second commit, I'm going to use F for fixup. So fixup, what it does is it's the same as squash. It uses the commit, but it discards the commit message. That's why I didn't really care what the message was. So, and after I accept this, it's going to take these two commits, put them together into a single commit, and then we'll be done. So we'll save that. And now if we look, we see, yes, only a single commit, and it includes my test, my updates, and then also the roadmap change here that will tell people, yes, that change was made. So now I'm going to git push origin CUDA flip, and I will have to use -F for force. The reason is that I've actually now rewritten history, so this branch is not going to just fit right into the branch on the remote repository on GitHub, and that's it. So now if we go over to the GoCV repository, what I want to do is I want to create a pull request from this CUDA flip branch, and we want to base it against the dev branch, and we're going to say that this pull request implements or provides an implementation for the CUDA flip function. It includes the code as well as a test that shows that the code is able to be executed. And so I'm going to actually add that. So I'm going to create pull request. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to label it with CUDA. All right. So now let's go back over to the Mac for a second. The reason to do that is I actually would like to have the code, or the test results rather. So I'm going to go to my pull request that I just created, and I'm going to go in and let's add to the comment. And we can make this a little smaller maybe, because it's might be a little easier to see. I want to show, basically the idea here is that we want to show people that, yes, we've executed the tests and they're good. So let's go and grab a screenshot. Go and grab a screenshot. Yeah, this time we did it. And let's capture a section of this window. Not the whole window necessarily, but I think just the part that shows the tests are all passing. Because that was the point here, is we were just trying to demonstrate to people you need to do the code change and you need to also make sure that the tests pass. And let's make sure they can see how to do that. So, okay, we'll capture that. Now we'll go back to edit the comment and we'll paste that in, which GitHub's web user interface is actually pretty nice. Update the comment, and this shows that, in fact, yes, we have tested it, and that's it. Okay, so now this is sort of, again, the idea is to provide a canonical implementation for people to be able to look at to say, this is the way that you should be adding a CUDA-based test to GoCV. So I promised I would do that, and here it is. Awesome. All right, so I have some more stuff to do that's related to computer vision. Actually, it's there's a lot of cool stuff happening in the computer vision world these days. It's more and more useful, not just for evil, bad kinds of facial recognition, but also for slightly more utilitarian types of objectives like automated quality control or safety. So quite a few different things you can do with computer vision. So one of the things I thought would be really cool to use is this awesome computer specifically from NVIDIA called the Jetson Nano Developer Kit. So what is this, you might be wondering? So the Jetson Nano is a small form factor computer, not unlike a Raspberry Pi, kind of similar in a bunch of ways. And I have a whole kit that I got here from NVIDIA that includes the board itself, which we can take out here. So it's very much like a Raspberry Pi in that it's a small single board computer. But one of the main differences is that it has a built-in GPU, which is why it's got this massive fan housing here. You know, this heatsink is designed to keep the thing from melting down, apparently. So I just got this and I haven't had a chance to do anything with it yet. So I thought maybe we would put it together today and see if we could maybe get it to work because the thing is really cool. And I have a whole bunch of different pieces for us to try to assemble here. So let's take a look. I'm going to unplug my Macintosh so I have some more room. Hopefully that's not going to cause anything bad to happen. And I'm going to move that out of the way here. Let's see. To the desk. To the desk. Oh yeah. Thank you. So let's move that out of the way. And let's... Whoop, sorry. So here I have my the NVIDIA board. I have the box it came in, which apparently is designed for you to turn into a little box support system for the board. For those who don't have this other thing that I happen to actually have, which is a case. I really got a complete pack here. Thanks, NVIDIA. You're so cool. So, this has got a case, nice metal case, really solid. So let's take that apart here. Take a look. And I haven't even looked at this yet. Wow, this is really awesome. So let's unscrew a couple of these things here. I assume this is how we get it open. We probably unscrew these 4 screws here. That's what it looks like. And try not to lose these very same screws. So I'm going to unscrew them into the box. That way I don't do what I've done so many times in the past, which is drop the screws. And then I can't find them on the black floor in the studio. And naturally, I have a lot of screws, but none that actually fit the thing I'm trying to put them in. So let's see what's in this. I think there's a fan, and I'm not sure what else. I know it's got a fan. I know it needs a fan if you do the kind of stuff that we're going to do, which is hardcore computer vision applications, even on a small form factor computer. I like doing things with small form factor computers and single board computers. For example, I'm using an upsquared AI kit as the single board computer for the TinyGo Tiny HCI hardware continuous integration server. So that's pretty cool. All right, so now we got that 4th screw out. I should be able to get the box open so we can see what's in there. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Even more, 4 more screws. They really want you to think this is like industrial. Maybe it is. I don't know. I haven't turned it on yet, so I guess we'll find out. So we just got to get these off the top. And 2 more to go. I was just saving this for today. All week I've been looking at it, just going, oh, I really want to put it together, but I'm going to wait. Just patiently waiting. You know how hard that was to wait all week long to put this together? Hopefully we can actually get most of it done. All right. Yes. Now we have the case off. We get to look inside. It's actually got 2 fans. It's got one fan, just like a case fan, and then it's got another much larger fan for the GPU itself, meant to go on top. Let's see what else is in there. Some sort of little pinchers, a few jumper cables, a switch, That must go on the front. Power switch. Oh yeah, that's very nice. I know, we're supposed to read the instructions. Who reads the instructions? I do. Well, the instructions are not that fancy. So put in the power switch, basically attach all of these to the board itself. Well, I want to do this, but I want to boot the thing up first and make sure it works before I go to all of this effort only to discover that there's something wrong and I have to take it all apart again. So let's put the cables back for the moment. Put the little pinchers back. Put the bigger fan. We'll stash this away in the box for the moment. And instead, we will use this little thing it came with, which is just cardboard. And it's designed apparently to, so how does this work? It's supposed to be turned into a kind of support whose purpose is to then go back into the same box that it just came out of so that we can fit the box, so it sits on top of the box and we can plug in the cables, but that it's not touching anything to short out the sensitive electrostatic. So, all right, origami included. That's kind of neat. They thought of everything. All right, so let's see. We have a couple of other parts that probably we'll need before too long. One of which is the built-in Intel Wi-Fi adapter, which is, this is actually a really, really cool, this is the kind of adapter that you probably have inside your notebook computer. So it's very solid, reliable. So we'll get to that. All right. In the meantime, we need a piece that was luckily provided by my friend and collaborator Imanol, which is downloading the necessary operating system from the website. So let's go and take a look at the instructions to do this are, of course, all online. And luckily for us, other people have done this before. A couple of them have actually done the exact thing that we want to do today, which is to not just install the operating system, but to also update it to the latest OpenCV 4.5.2, which is pretty important. We have to do that because if we don't update it, then we're not going to be able to run the latest GoCV. And that's the whole purpose of this, is not just, oh, cool device, but it's also that we want to run GoCV on it. So in order to do that, we're going to need to first boot the thing up. And in order to do that, we've got a couple of different sets of instructions here. This one from Automatic Addison. He's doing some really cool stuff with a bunch of different robotic and hardware-related platforms. So in my case, I'm going to do things a little tiny bit differently, only because I want to try to use the headless mode, which is to use the serial port interface instead of trying to plug in to the monitor. We'll see how that goes. In any case, the first thing that we need to do is we're going to need to plug in the micro SD card that's got the system images into the slot on the underside of it. So let's go to the micro camera. And you'll see this is my cool little USB adapter for the SD card that actually came with the kit. And it's got a 64 gigabyte, I believe it's a 10 is the rating. Yes. So the speed is a 10 rating, which is for video or other types of high-speed applications, which is obviously what we're going to need. So I've got my board right here. And we must plug it in. It's on the underside of the board. Let's see the underside of the board. Oh, here we go. It would be over here. Right? It would appear to be. Oh. All right. Where is has to be here somewhere. I would have expected it to go there. Oh. It's actually kind of neatly hidden away. I don't know if you can see that or if the light is a little too, yeah, actually, now you can kind of see it. It's well hidden under the board. And so it should go in this way. And usually you push them in a little spring click when it's locked in position. And now it's locked in. Okay. Step 1 complete. So we've put in the micro SD card. So now we'll, since we're going to use the headless mode, we want to plug in the power supply, and then it should just boot. And then after that, I should be able to plug in to the serial port or USB port on the board itself, which I believe is this one. And I should be able to connect that to the serial port on my notebook computer and use it as a TTY terminal. That's what they say. Let's find out. This should be neat. I have never done this before, but I've been wanting to. And here we are, my friends. Here we are. So let's see. I need a cable. Oh, yes, just like this one. So I've got my USB-C on one side and USB micro on the other, which is plugging into here. Then I will need my power supply, which came with the kit, which is a 5 volt but 4 amp. So it's very common to have 5 volt power supplies, not so much up to 4 amps, which is not surprising because these kinds of GPU powered super machines, you know, they draw a lot of amps. So 4 amps, no surprise. Even though 4 amps with a GPU, that's actually pretty cool. All right, so connect it, plug it in, see what happens. Let's see. I don't see any lights or indicators of any sort. I think there's a jumper that maybe we need to connect in order to use the power supply. I believe so. I think that's on the previous page. Let's see. Almost positive that we need to do that. That's, I think, what those little clips are for. This Automatic Addison has an image of this somewhere on here. Yeah, there we go. All right. Make sure the jumper is pushed into the J48 power select header pins. Okay. So let's unplug the power supply. And we're looking for J48. So we can actually see J48 is conveniently located right next to the power supply itself. It's that little jumper right there. And it says something like DC enable. And so we have to flip that by putting it on in order for it to use the power supply only. All right. I bet this works a lot better now. Let's find out. There we go. Okay. So we'll plug it in. Something should happen, like a light or something. Yes, a light came on. That usually means it's doing something. All right, this is exciting. So now I'm going to plug it into my computer. Kind of impatient. Pushing buttons. So I'll plug that in. I'll go over to, and we'll say this is the Jetson, hopefully. And normally we would see under dev TTY something listed, and yeah, I'm saying /dev /TTY ACM0. So if we use Picocom and we set the highest baud rate on that port, maybe something will happen. Ta-da! Yes. And this is, we're logged in and it wants us to accept the license agreement for the NVIDIA software, which, so yeah, it's a combination of both open and closed source software. So we have to accept the closed parts if we want to use the open parts, I guess. I'll accept that for now. I mean, what else can I really do? And like everybody who ever accepts any of these agreements, I just simply scroll all the way through it without actually reading it and then just say, okay. But I've read this agreement before. This agreement is actually a very interesting one. Probably worth mentioning. Uh-oh, I lost. Gave me a nasty message, but I don't know what that means. So this license agreement is kind of interesting. It's basically written around, I guess, a Windows style of desktop license. And it has a clause in there that says, if you're using this on Linux, then the normal Linux applies. So that's kind of neat. It means if you use Linux like I do, don't worry about it. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't play one on the internet, even though I've read a lot of license agreements. So let's just say, okay. All right, so I'm going to choose English. English? There's no English American? How dare they? Wow. Okay, fine. There is Asturianu. If only I could actually speak Asturianu, then that might be more useful. I'm probably just as well choosing the Belarusian or, Bulgarian. All right, so we'll choose English. Okay, now it lets me use United States English as I speak American English. And then my time zone is none of those, actually. cancel? What happens? Does it go back? Uh-oh. I hope it didn't just kick me out of the whole setup process. That would be very embarrassing. I think it made assumptions that were perhaps not true about choosing American English means you're located in one of the American time zones. I am an expatriate American. I live in a foreign country. Don't you have a setup program that's intended for my use specifically? All right. That's probably not good. It looks like we got locked out now mid-setup. Let's try to reconnect. No, it's still stuck doing whatever it was going to do. All right. We're off to a fine start. All right. Normally I hate to hot plug these things in the middle of the setup program, but what can I do? We'll try again. Hopefully I didn't just kill it. I probably should have chosen the Asturiano option. That might have gotten me in less trouble. Hopefully it will come back up and I haven't just killed my brand new shiny toy. Oh, something's happening here. Aha. Welcome to initial configuration. I'll just say okay this time. English, English. Select your location. Aha. It fooled me. I should have paid attention. My location is in none of these places. Other. In Europe. In Spain. So my locale is going to be United States, English _US. Time zone, Madrid. System clock set to UTC, Shirley. Full name for new user. So the real name of the user is Dead Program. That's my real name. And the username for the account also. What will be my password? Don't look, everyone. Here, look at the table while I type in the password. A very, very, very secure one. Okay. Now we can go back. Now I'll show you what I'm doing again. Size of the app partition. I use the max size. Default is the maximum size, so yeah, we'll go with that. Once it has the QSPI image, we'll remove the unloader. So yes, we do want to do that. Will take about 2 minutes. So in the meantime, let's go take a look at some of the other steps that we're going to need to perform. So we're actually way past all of this. We're on this step. Upgrade the Q SPI process, but we're doing it through the TTY interface instead of through the GUI. So hopefully we'll get to this stage next. Still thinking. And if all goes well, then according to this, one of these, Yes, headless mode. After we do all this, um, so I'm going to need some kind of wireless networking or wired networking. Now, I did bring an actual cable because I don't want to set up the wireless networking right now because I would actually like to use the awesome Intel adapter. So I'm going to use this cool cable to plug in to the router directly so I can avoid having to enable a Wi-Fi dongle that, in fact, I am going to stop using at my first opportunity. Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank you, doctor. Performing surgery here, hopefully. Surgery is when the patient lives versus murder, which is when the patient does not. But you never meant them to live? I don't know. I'm not a doctor, and I don't play them on the internet. Although I'm very good at first aid. I do have a first aid merit badge. I'll go that far. That I have. Okay. So it has multiple network interfaces. So I'm going to choose the first connected interface, which is Ethernet. And I'm going to plug in the Ethernet. Network auto configuration has succeeded. The host name for the system. Not localhost, of course. It should be Jetson. NVP model. So what did that mean? We were looking at this before. So the NVP model we want to choose is probably the default, which is max N. Let's go take a look and see if everybody agrees. It does not give you that choice in the NVIDIA instructions. The implication here from Automatic Addison is that we would use max N. So, yeah, sure. We'll just choose the default. Seems legit. Installing system. Oh yeah, this is exciting. Yeah, I love small form factor single board computers with built-in GPUs and other cool hardware acceleration. And this is the first chance I've actually had to play with one of these Jetsons. Been meaning to for a while. I think this is the third one, the third edition, the so-called B01, which is called the Jetson Nano Developer Kit. And this is the one that's got 4 gigabytes of RAM built in. Ooh, okay. And I now see a prompt. So, no, it knocked me off. Something else happened. Let's see. Uh-oh. Login incorrect. Oh. Okay. And I am now logged in to the operating system on the Jetson. And let's see if it actually has any internet by trying to ping Google. And yes, with a very nice low latency connection. So yeah, cool. We made it this far, my friends. We made it this far. Excellent. So so the next step is on the instructions here from not Automatic Addison, but from Q Engineering. Q Engineering gave a few more hardcore details about a few things that you might want to do, specifically to do with enlarging the memory swap in order to try to speed up the process of doing the OpenCV install. So the something worth mentioning is I started doing some work earlier today, or yesterday, or some point very recently, sometime in the last 48 hours, I guess, on a branch whose purpose was to add to the GoCV makefile, specifically some tasks that I created in order to make it a little easier to try to install these things on the Jetson. So I looked at the information that was included in the Automatic Addison as well as the Q Engineering blog post, and I went and I modified the GoCV makefile to add a few tasks which in theory should do most of the same things. So in order to do that, of course, I'm going to have Git on here, which I probably don't. Oh, yes, Git is on there. Okay, that's a good start. But let's follow the instructions specifically that were listed here, which is that we want to add to this swap file. Where is this? Uh-oh, I lost it. I had it. Now it's gone. Here we go. So if we enlarge the memory swap, then we can apparently do this a lot more quickly. So I'm going to do your typical Silo apt-get update and upgrade. And we're plugged in through the Ethernet cable, so it's pretty quick. Well, supposedly it's quick. No, it's quick. This is a lot faster here than it is at my home lab, where I'm still waiting for Elon Musk's Starlink service to become available. So, Elon, I'm waiting for you, man. All right. So, update and I believe upgrade. Yes. And it's thinking about what we have to install. A bunch of things. And it's pretty quick, I have to say. It's a lot faster than my original Raspberry Pi, that's for sure. Yeah, this is going to be really, really cool when we have it working because it is highly transportable. I'm not sure how fast it is, but I guess we'll find out when we get to do a few benchmarks. We probably won't get to that today at this rate, but at least we can get the process mostly going. And then hopefully by next week's stream, I'll have it all set up and ready to rock and roll. Cool. Oh, yes. So Racer XDL from Brazil. How's it going, my friend? Yes, my passwords are all, probably either very easy or very hard to hack, depending on whether you know me at all. And even then, maybe I spelled it wrong. Not on purpose. Maybe I just have bad spelling. Yeah. All right, so it's almost done, I think. It's unpacking. And yeah, this is a really cool device. I'm really looking forward to playing with it a little bit. It says it takes 2 hours to do the OpenCV install. So obviously I'm not going to start that up. But I do want to get all the prerequisites on there so that when I do kick it off, then, hopefully it will go relatively quickly. I'll see if I can download everything first. That's one of the nice things about the script, that the makefile for GoCV is it separates into separate subtasks, so I can do the dependency update and not do the build. And that way, when I actually start the build, if I interrupt it for some reason, I can just restart it and it should already have all the dependencies installed. We shall see. This is the idea. But it's a very cool box. And the newer devices from NVIDIA are quite a lot more costly. Now, they are a lot more powerful in that they have much more powerful GPUs. But for your typical kind of edge computing applications, computer vision, autonomous navigation, these sort of things, it's probably quite sufficient. We'll find out as we get a chance to kind of make it go through its paces. As a counterpoint, and I just found this earlier, we can also play around a bit, not today, but we will play around with it, with the competition, which is the Intel Movidius Neural Compute Stick. So it's not really the competition. It's more like a completely different approach. So the Neural Compute Stick is a specialized application-specific integrated circuit which is designed to have very high performance, low watt for computation. Or let me rephrase that. That made no sense. Rather than being optimized just for performance, the Neural Compute Stick is based on the Movidius 2, which is a processor designed to draw very few watts for the amount of computation it does by being highly efficient at the work that it performs. So OpenVINO, which is a set of extensions to OpenCV that we have support in for GoCV, and if you checked out any of my projects that I did with Intel, a lot of collaborations with them over many year periods of time. So there's a bunch of cool things you can do to accelerate deep neural networks with the Movidius Neural Compute Stick. That's really what it's intended for. The GPU made by NVIDIA does that, but it also is able to accelerate more traditional arithmetic computations, so we can take advantage of it to do, a bit more high performance computing for computer vision. Now, it uses more watts, but not very many. Keep in mind that this Jetson is at most drawing 4 watts from the power supply that we plugged in earlier. 4 amps, excuse me. So I can't remember the exact rating on the Movidius, but we'll play with that and we'll get to sort of experiment in some of our future streams. Not today because I want to try to get this working. And that's a whole nother set of fun toys to play with. It's taken a while. It's got a lot of packages to update. You can see why I didn't want to actually run the full install. And it looks like there's a few failures having to do with Snap. So Snap is a sort of package management system created by Ubuntu as part of their Ubuntu Core, which is a slightly lighter weight, hopefully, versus Aptitude, which is the Debian package manager. So if you use Snap, it lets you install all of your dependencies isolated for a particular application. And actually, one of the recent contributions to TinyGo was to add Ubuntu Snap support. So, okay, we're done. Yay. Next up. Next step is we want to actually, let's install the Nano editor, which, as you know, one of my favorite editors, editor of the future, Nano. It's 218K, so kind of hard to beat that. And it's already done. And now we're going to install the dfizz-swap file, which is going to use some of the SD card as our swap file so as to try to accelerate this process of doing the OpenCV compilation and installation. Because that's going to take a while. Again, I'm not going to start that today. I'll start that at night or something. And now we need to go in and set the required memory size. I'm not sure what we should set that to. I guess 4026? Let's run this command free-m first. And we see, okay, so the swap right now is 1982. And if we go and we run this command to modify the swap file to, and I guess we're going to make it 4026. So I think this is the right thing to do here. I guess that's probably okay. That's what it seems like it's telling us to do. It's saying set this value equal to the total swap. I feel like I'm doing this wrong. Let's go and look at dfizz swap file. Dfizz swap file. And I guess we're looking for the conf swap size. So we want to change it to what? It should be, swap size should be twice as much as the available RAM on the machine. Okay. So if we look at the, this is for a 2 megabyte. So instead of 4026, we should be like 8052, let's say. And we want something like that because if it's supposed to be around twice the size, we were just looking at that. If it wants to be about twice the size as the available RAM on the machine, then I probably would want to use, yeah, seems like it's legit. So 80, let's say 8048. And then once we've done that, we have to reboot. So we shall see if this worked or if we've killed the machine. That's always a possibility. Luckily, all we would have to do is just replace the SD card's file with a brand new one and start all over. But I would prefer not to do that. Okay, it's still not opened yet. It's thinking. I think it's failing. There we go. Doesn't want me to log in. I was probably too quick. I'm going to unplug the serial port, plug it back in. It reboots or reconnects. And we'll give it a minute to make the USB CDC connection. And it should be there now. And it'll probably say invalid. Yes, all right. So dead program. My password. Okay. And now if we free -M, you'll see now we have a much larger swap file. Looks like that's the maximum that it's able to, is 4030. So we'll just leave it the way it is right now. And all right, next step. So, and this is, I think, the last thing we'll do on this before we switch to some other stuff. So now we need to pull down the parts of OpenCV that I created to test in order to see if we can actually use the makefile modifications in order to hopefully successfully build all this. So it's in this branch called Jetson install. So if let's make a directory and we'll call it development or just dev. And we'll go under our dev directory and we're going to use git clone in order to pull down the GitHub repo with GoCV on it. And let's do git fetch. Oh, we have to change directories into GoCV. No, I don't believe we have Go installed. So we need to install Go. So generally the easiest way to do that is going to be, well, there's a couple ways we can do it, but certainly one of the easiest is going to be just to essentially copy what we do for the TinyGo HCI in its Docker file, which is under tools server, or sorry, tools Docker. And what we're doing is we're using wget to just pull it down and to put that into our user local. So if I use wget in the same fashion, I just pull it down, and it's 116. We'll go back to our dev directory, and that didn't work out too well. I'm going to have to probably put that into a different text editor to get it to so we just want to replace this with go 1.16 dot, let's say 3. I assume we have wget. We do. So it is, in fact, pulling that down. And then we will uncompress it into the user local directory. Replacing go release here with go 1.16.3. I'm not sure why the terminal, I probably have some kind of TTY settings that, oh yes. Of course we can't copy it in there because we must run under sudo. Because we don't have permissions. And that copied all of Go. So now we can remove the GZ file. Because we need to keep space. Not use our precious space. And then we just need to add to our path. So the easiest is going to be to go probably to our bash RC file. So if we go to bash RC, and I'll go down in here looking for any place where we're setting the path. Or we could put them into bash alias. That's probably better. That's usually better. Yeah, let's do that. Bash aliases. And we will actually just put that whole line, which is that we want to export path is equal to what the path currently is, and then also adding to it user local go bin. And if we go source bash alias, or bash RC rather, bash RC, there we go. So we say source dot bash RC. Now we should be able to say go version. No. Exec format error. Let's see here. Might need to change the permissions of that directory. Let's see. Sudo ls-l user local go. Yes, and so we have read permissions. And for the bin directory, we have execute permissions. So that should have worked. Which go? User local go bin go. Yeah, that should have been that. Exec format error. Not too sure right this second. Let's go and look at the, maybe I grabbed the wrong executable. Looking back at my bash history, it is Linux AMD 64, which should have been it. Let's see. I guess NVIDIA. Oh, haha. Sorry, totally wrong. Why? Because this is an ARM microprocessor, not an Intel one. So we want ARM 64, not, I mean, that's actually really, really funny. So what we want to do is we want to remove recursive forcing from user local bin go. And let's try this again. This time, we should be pulling in the ARM 64 version. Not, oh, we have to actually download it first. Yes, because it's an ARM 64, not an Intel 64. See, I'm so used to typing in that Intel path that I didn't even realize that for a minute myself. That's pretty funny. All right, let us continue. So now we should be able to untar it by saying, yeah, ARM 64. That should work. And then now when we say go version, yes. And here we go. Nice. So before we go too far, let's see. Bash code color. I really just, I can't take this horrible looking, and I know I have somewhere on my machine I think it's under what? Bash RC. Yeah, and let's get the colors. Let's do that not right now, because I would like some pretty colors, but it's not that important. I think it's more important that we try to finish this task that we started, which was we want to go into the Go CV. We said git fetch, git branch, run release. So we want to say git checkout, and I believe it was called Jetson install. I believe it's Jetson, or install Jetson. Let's see. Jetson-install. So if we've done this correctly, so TIG is a not a text user interface program that I use for often navigating Git repositories. It works really well. It's very small, very light, installs quickly. 284K, so decently sized. Doesn't take up too much. And the whole purpose of this is just so we can check that, yes, this is the Jetson install. All right. So let's go take a look and see what is that does. We were just looking at it a minute ago, but let's look again. So I added a couple of make tasks. The first one would be make deps underscore Jetson. And what that should do is it should go and pull down all of the necessary dependencies, and that way the build Jetson can do all the work it has to do to build the latest OpenCV along with the CUDA and all the trimmings. So let's see if first make deps Jetson works. So far, so good. It's doing something. Hasn't errored. That's a good start. It's better to do this here where I have a much higher speed connection than at my secret lair where due to wideband internet it is pretty slow. But I mean, it's nice. The view is good. Well, it's very bucolic. As you look off into listening to the birds chirping and thinking maybe the Avian Transfer Protocol would work here. Which, if you don't know about the Avian Transfer Protocol, it's one of the oldest internet protocols. It's designed to attach physical messages to the avian transport mechanism, often known as carrier pigeons. This is real. Suddenly I feel like you don't believe me. Avian Transport Protocol. So it is RFC 2549. This is real. It's an experimental protocol. And as you can see, here is a queuing mechanism illustration, kind of showing how it's meant to be used. Traffic shaping algorithm. Round robin queuing is not recommended because robins are not actually good at carrying messages. This is real. I know. The internet used to be such a fun and friendly place. All right, so we've done the updates. So now if we say make, I believe it's build Jetson. And again, I just want to see if it's going to work, not actually try to do the whole thing. But no, it did not. It failed. But why? Let's see if we can see any interesting messages. That does not appear to have the directory. Oh, because I did not run the make, let's see, make download. That's it. No, let's see. Could not find the directories. Oh, curl not found. Okay. So sudo apt install curl. Curl, one of the most useful programs on the entire internet. Kudos to Wolf SSL for hiring the maintainer to do what they do best, maintain curl. Yes, curl. It's everything you need and more. And less, actually. That's the nice thing about curl. It doesn't do a lot. It just does what you need. All right. This is another one of these tasks. Much better done on high speed. And you can see actually we have a pretty good download. Like nearly 20 megabit per second. So that's pretty good. I like it. That is substantially greater than my throughput at the secret lair. And let's see what happened. Did it make it? I think now it has to download the OpenCV contrib, which is the non-free outside contributor contributions, I guess I should say. Um, Not everything in there is patented, but a bunch of it is. You may want to use it anyway and go license those patents, or you may not, in which case you may just, use it. Something else, rather. All right. Make download, we did it. Make deps Jetson, we did it. Make build Jetson. And let's just make sure that it doesn't fail because of some dependencies. And then I'll interrupt it and we can go and do some other fun things that I have planned. That I have the batteries charged for this week, I believe. Yeah, it seems like it's working. So let's go take a look at some of our other toys. So last week I tried to fly my lovely Parrot drone. Had a few little difficulties that I ran into. But this week I'm ready. My batteries are fully charged. So I have, I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the way. So I have a bag of batteries here somewhere. Yes, here we go. All right. So this is the Parrot Mambo. It is one of the awesome toys from the French company Parrot. And I have a lot of spare batteries. It has on board this really cool first-person video camera, which is connected via some copper contacts that I have on here, which all they do is provide power from the battery. That's their purpose, is to power the camera. So I'm going to go, I should be able to just actually leave the NVIDIA thing running. And let's just see how long it's going to take. Maybe it will finish before we're done here today. Let's just leave it going, and we'll see if we can reconnect to the serial port. All right, so let's go back over to the GoCV window here. And I have, if we can just check out the dev branch. And in the dev branch, I have a really cool program that you may or may not have seen before. So this particular program's purpose is to do facial detection using a CAFE-trained model that is a single shot detector, and it is a pre-trained model that is available as one of the models that the awesome CAFE project based out of Berkeley. So this program uses GoCV to run that, and you'll see here it's able to recognize my face even though I turn my head. One of the nice things about using a deep neural network in order to do this kind of detection is it's actually quite resilient to things that more traditional algorithmic approaches were not. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the adapter to my camera, which is the little wireless first-person video. I'm going to find my cable. This is not my cable. That's a Mac cable. Here we go. I'm going to find my cable, which has USB-C to USB micro, where I can plug this in. And then I'm going to plug this into my laptop. And I'm going to hopefully, run the program that is going to do the same exact thing, but instead of using the built-in webcam, instead I'm going to use camera 2, which is the camera that is the input that's coming from my little wireless adapter. Okay, so far so good. All right, now I am going to pull out my controller. You've seen me use this controller a bunch of times. I'm actually in the process of finding the parts that I need to make my new controller. So this one is still the same breadboard controller that I've been using for a while. Runs TinyGo, a small program written using TinyGo's Bluetooth package along with the TinyGo compiler, and it runs on this Nordic Semiconductor NRF 52840, which is an inexpensive and relatively common these days microcontroller with the built-in software defined radio. It's not a completely open SDR. In our case, we are using the soft device, which is not open source, but it is free licensing, and it's a binary blob created by Nordic Semiconductor, which contains the APIs that are used for all of their different NRF 51, 52, and other chips. Okay, so last time I tried this, I was very unprepared. The reason is that I didn't have a battery. And so what I decided I was going to do today was I would bring the right cable and battery necessary, if I can find it. I might have to steal, oh, here we go. I was going to steal GopherBot's battery, but, GopherBot didn't like that idea. All right, so what I'm going to do here is, let's go back to the main, hopefully. All right, so I have my battery, I have my cable, and I have my controller. This way, I can be wireless and not have the problem that I ran into last time, which was I accidentally, this is not the right cable. This one is USB-C. That will not work. Oh yeah, this will work. It's kind of small, but that's good. So this time I can walk around with the controller, and I am hopefully not going to pull any cables out of where they're plugged in. So we'll make sure this is powered up. And then let's take a quick look at the micro. So we can see it's trying to connect. So far, so good. I'll probably have to hold this in the same hand. Actually, I kind of need a slightly longer cable. Let me find a slightly longer cable. Because that way I could stick it in my pocket. Otherwise, it's probably going to knock over something else. No, that's not it. Oh, here we go. Okay. This is the cable we want to use. So we'll unplug the battery. We'll plug in the slightly longer cable. That way I can stick the battery in my pocket because I need all my hands to fly the drone. So we'll plug in the battery. Oh wait, no, this is the opposite. There we go. Plug in the battery, plug in the small end to the microcontroller to power it up. Put the battery in my pocket. That way I don't drop it. All right. So now, if we go to the Linux computer, you may remember that we are sitting here and we are using the Linux computer so it's just waiting for signal to come in from the drone. And the drone is sitting right here, right? So now there's one other piece we need to make this work. Very, very important. And it is my VR goggles. So, because I need real-time feedback, I thought it'd be a much better idea if I brought these goggles. Let's see if we can turn it on. Okay, gonna put them on. Oh yeah, nothing could go wrong with this plan, right? Seems like a good idea at the time. Okay, now I need to find the controller. Okay, yeah. Now I need to plug in the battery. And let's see if we, let's see what happens. Oh, okay. All right, I see. Oh, wait, what happened? Okay. Yep, we see it. All right, here we go. This should be fun. Oh, it connected. All right, here we go. Whoop. That didn't work out yet. Let's see here. I did something wrong. Still connected. I lost one of my protectors. Probably just fly without it. And we should still be connected. Okay. I don't think I have a very strong, I may need to adjust some of my controls on my joystick. I lost the camera. We've lost the camera. Let's see here. We can find it. I'm telling you, this is going to work. It's like that time I tried to drill the hole in my head. That totally would have worked if they hadn't stopped me. I knew just what I was doing. Or did I? I think the little screws on the bottom popped out. We can take a look here at the... So these little screws on the bottom are what provide the power and also what hold the thing on. It's very utilitarian. So now we'll try putting the camera back on. Okay, yeah, that so far, that's a little better. Oh, and one of our studio engineers brought me back my safety equipment. Something about don't fly without safety equipment. Oh, I wasn't worried about that. All right, so now let's try that again. This time with feeling. Okay, we have the VR goggles. They still are showing me something. I think this is better now. Okay, and then let's see, I have the controller. Well, I forgot to walk with it. That's what happened. I was supposed to be walking at the time. Well, yeah, no wonder. Okay, where's the camera? We've lost the camera. Imagine you have to do this on Mars. You're like, Captain Jones, yes? We need you to go back onto the Martian surface and pick up the camera again. Again? Like, look, you don't have anything else to do, do you? Like, no. I mean, you joined NASA to basically do this, right? Oh, yeah. Okay, fine. I'll go back out on the Martian surface. All right. Let's try this one more time. This time with feeling. Oh, well, that's what happened. My joystick came off. I think I got a little too excited. All right. Let's try this again. This time we're going to get out of here alive. Oh, other way. That, I zigged when I should have zagged. That was a good crash landing, though, actually. Did anybody get that on film?
Yeah.
This is why they don't let me have the multi-million-dollar drones, usually. No, I think I need to adjust my controls to make them a little more responsive. Just a little bit. Right now, the joystick is a little too, how would we say, mushy. All right. We actually have to put it down, pick up the camera, plug back in the camera. You're like, oh yeah, we don't have to worry about Skynet for at least another maybe 3-4 weeks at least or something. I did lose the other. Oh yes, thank you. Yes, you see why I need these safety protectors. Okay, this time I'm going to try to get more altitude first. If I can make it past the MacBook, I should be fine. I should get out the door. All right. This time it's totally going to work. I'm not cheating by moving it like another, few centimeters closer. Am I? All right. Oh, that was land, not take off. I think the connector came loose. Okay, landing made it knock back on. But not strong enough. Here, just going to push it down a little bit more. I could replace the screws, but all right, this time it's going to work. No, I didn't push the screws down hard enough. Yeah, we'll fix that. Oh, see, I still could knock things off, even the things I'm not actually connected to. All right. Let's see if we can get this back on. Yeah, there we go. It's amazingly that it was working at all, considering how little screw was in there. All right. And we'll plug it back in. This time it's really solid. Okay. This time we're going to make it. Okay, preparing myself. I know we can do it. I know we could do it. We could just make it past the first curve. Okay. See, this is the cool part, is I can actually follow it. Okay. Yeah, I got it. undersea world. Let's see if I can walk back. This is what happens when I forget my belt. The good news is he's been on a diet. I hit my head before. This is our studio audience. And we will make it back in by under human power, perhaps, but at least we made it. Yeah, it was the infamous red light flashing. Well, that was fun. It didn't exactly end the way I expected, but it was totally cool. All right, next time we're going to actually modify the joystick to make it a little more responsive, and then we will also tighten down the screws that we use to hold the battery on, hold the camera on the drone so that it doesn't fall off mid-flight. And we'll probably make it all the way out the door. I'm not going to stop until the drones are free. Not until every drone is free. Well, so, wow, lots of stuff today. We tested our code that we worked on last week against the actual GPU. Thank you, Northvolt, for providing the awesome resources for open source. We put together the Jetson, and it's still hopefully installing OpenCV after I pulled it halfway off the table while I was chasing around the drone, which I made a few attempts to fly out, navigating with, I'm not sure, did anybody see any faces get caught by that? Well, anyway, next time we'll see if I can make the drone fly itself directly towards the closest human face, and it'll just follow the people out. That should be fun. So, Gopherbot, what do you think? Are you up for this? Totally. So on that note, thank you all for coming. It's been a beautiful time here at La Pipa in Asturias. Come join us next week for more Hacking Adventures with Dead program. Bye for now.
Computer Liste, Computer Liste, everybody that it has get flat. Computer Liste, Computer Liste, Computer Liste, everybody that it has get flat. Computer Liste, Computer Liste, Computer Liste,